you've suggested that the president sometimes communicates his wishes indirectly. For example, you said, quote, "Mr. Trump did not directly tell me to lie to Congress. That's not how he operates," end quote. Can you explain how he does this?
Sure. It would be no different if I said, "That's the nicest looking tie I've ever seen, isn't it?" What are you going to do? You're going to fight with him? The answer is no. So you say, "Yeah, it's the nicest looking tie I've ever seen." That's how he speaks. He doesn't give you questions. He doesn't give you orders. He speaks in a code. And I understand the code because I've been around him for a decade.
And it's your impression that others who work for him understand the code as well?
Most people, yes.
Christianity in America. Moore, who was once a top official in the Southern Baptist Convention, declared Christianity at the U.S. to be in crisis, arguing that the church has become tribalized and factionalized, along with the rest of American society. Moore spoke to Detro about his new book, Losing Our Religion, an altar call for evangelical America, and offered some unique insights into evangelical America. It was the result of having multiple pastors tell me, essentially, the same story about quoting the Sermon on the Mount, parenthetically, in their preaching, turn the other cheek, to have someone come up after to say, "Where did you get those liberal talking points?" Moore told Detro during the interview. And what was alarming to me is that in most of these scenarios, when the pastor would say, "I'm literally quoting Jesus Christ," the response would not be, "I apologize." The response would be, "Yes, but that doesn't work anymore. That's weak." And when we get to the point where the teachings of Jesus himself are seen as subversive to us, then we're in a crisis.
Jerusalem. Kind of activities that the Satanic Temple are doing within hours of Trump being declared president, our membership numbers really spiked. And if we looked at the metrics for our website and other kind of web activity, it was like a straight line upward on election night, because people realized that this was, if they viewed it as a joke before, it wasn't a joke anymore, and that the rise of theocracy was very real.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand just how big of a part the evangelical right's vote played in the election of Donald Trump. And we leave this out of the film because, frankly, we didn't want to look at his face. But, it's sort of in the world around us, right? As much as Donald Trump himself is certainly not a believer in anything, the evangelical right really did a lot of work to elect him. And so, and he's repaid them in various ways. And so I feel like the work the Satanic Temple is doing is particularly resonant now. I also think that we're in such dark political times that people who maybe typically wouldn't care what the Satanists have to say might be a little more open-minded in their desperation for answers. I
want to suggest something to you, and I'm going to try to couch this very carefully. And this is really just for people who believe in the reality of spiritual warfare. That's all. This is just for that people. So if you don't believe in the reality of spiritual warfare, you don't believe in Ephesians 6, and this next couple of minutes is not for you. But my point is, you look at Donald Trump, and there is something to me that is unnatural about his level of support. Something there that you cannot explain based on the world that we can see, based on natural causes, based on what is rational and logical and understandable. There is something that is beyond the world of nature that's going on there to prop him up and to create this inexplicable obsession that people have with him, and this exaggerated support for people that really ought to see through what he's about. It's a mystery to me that evangelical Christians in particular would be so enamored with Donald Trump. We know that not every spirit that's out there in the unseen world is a friendly spirit. There are spirits out there that mean us harm, that mean our country harm. And politics, this power comes from God. Let's not forget that every bit of political power comes from God. Who is going to be interested in getting their hands on the levers of God's power? It's going to be Satan. He's going to be all over that. He's going to try to make sure that the man of his choosing has God's political power to exercise. And we as believers need to have our eyes open to that possibility. And we need to be praying as intelligently and clear-headedly as we can that God's man would be elevated to the White House.